Jesus gave us a job to do. It's called the Great Commission. It's a big task, but we are called to go into all the world. And Adam Livecchi is the founder of We See Jesus Ministries, and his book, Go.Preach.Heal, simplifies the supernatural. Adam, welcome to Real Life.
It's great to be with you today.
I love the title of your book, Go.Preach.Heal, but I got to start out with something that you did in the beginning of the book. You said this: the man of the hour with the power is over and done with. Can you explain what you mean by that?
Yeah. Now, our job is to equip the saints for the work of the ministry. And so the idea of the man of the hour with the power is an outdated idea. And it's kind of like an old wineskin.
Like the one guy, just the one
guy.
Everything kind
all
of
the
channeling
cameras,
towards the one guy.
All the cameras, all the lights on that one guy, that's kind of over with. And our generation, younger people, they don't really connect with that idea. So it's a little bit of a foreign idea. Yeah. So it may have had its time and ran its course, and God has used powerful personalities, and he has, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just not what he's doing now.
That's awesome. I love that.
It is. So your mission is really for anyone who's a believer. Go, preach, heal. What really stirred your heart about writing this book?
So I want to see the church powerful. I want to see them strong. And I want to see people thriving in their sphere of influence. So I want to see signs and wonders following those who believe, instead of those who believe following signs and wonders. And so I was encouraged to just write this manual, so to speak, kind of like a supernatural playbook on how to cultivate and just develop a lifestyle where the supernatural becomes natural, and it's not like mystic or weird. It's just normal, because the fruit of the Spirit is not weird, and so we tried to simplify it and make it practical.
Yeah, you did a great job. It's very interactive too.
It is. There's a lot of questions you ask in it and try to challenge people. Let me ask you about the word go. It's one of my favorite words in Scripture. Go. Who do you mean should go? Who gets to go? Who does God call to go?
So the commission is for everyone to go, and the commission is to go everywhere. So it doesn't matter if you're going across the street or across the world. It's about being intentional about moving from where you are to where someone else is. And I see that with Jesus. Jesus continually went to places that other people avoided. And so I think that there's places in our own cities, people in our own families, circumstances in our own life where we're avoiding, and God is actually calling us to move toward the issue, the problem, or the person, instead of away from. And so that's the goal of the gospel, is to move toward people and problems that others may avoid.
Well, that's pretty good, though, because sometimes we think, well, it means go to another continent, go to another country, which is great.
Yeah.
But like you said, it could just go to that situation. Go to that, what God's presented in front of you.
Yeah.
You can make an impact there, and people do make an impact when they go, right?
Exactly. And many times in real life, it happens through our inconveniences. The inconveniences that we experience are really opportunities. Like the other day, I went to ShopRite, which is it's a grocery store in Jersey, and I go there to get Armor All wipes, and they don't have them. So I had to go to AutoZone. Walk into AutoZone. The guy's got a big face on. I go, hey man, what's up? You all right? And he just, all the feelings, all the pain, everything he's going through right there in public, boom. And I just grabbed his hand and I said, hey, can I pray for you? And then the Lord just gave me some words, and I shared some words with him that kind of identified him, where he was, what he was going through, and that really ministered to his life. But that was born out of an inconvenience. Mm-hmm. And so when we stop and we see people, compassion allows us to see their true condition. And I was able to minister to that guy. And to be honest, I don't want to sound, I don't want to be too honest, but to be honest, I didn't go in there like, oh Lord, give me words of knowledge. I can't wait to love on this guy. I'm in there for right. Armor All wipes, but the Lord loves people and wants to speak to them. And so I think that we just need to make ourselves available.
I love this part in your book. He says that the Great Commission is the fuel, or the Great Commandment. The greatest commandment is the fuel for the Great Commission. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, you have to know that you're loved by God, and you have to be secure in that, and you minister from that place. And I think that it's important to know that we don't minister for approval, we minister from approval. And when you receive the love of God and you experience it, the most natural thing to do is give it away. And we do this all the time in life. You eat somewhere good, you shop somewhere good, you naturally talk about a good restaurant or a great sale, or it's just natural to kind of give away what we've experienced, that we've enjoyed. And I think that when you enjoy the Lord, it's just natural. It's not something that you have to work up.
Well, isn't that interesting? Because you talk about preaching, and you're preaching the gospel, healing.
Yeah.
People don't feel equipped sometimes. The average churchgoer says, I don't really think I've got that power. I don't really think I've got that authority. Could you talk about power and authority a little bit in those realms?
I could, and I will. Power is not the same as authority. And authority is what gives us access to power. And I think that most of the time when we don't see breakthrough, it's not a lack of power, but it's a lack of an understanding of our authority. And the way authority works is through submission. So if I don't submit my life to the Lord Jesus, then I don't have access to his power through authority. And so this is what the enemy does. The enemy comes in, and people have been harmed, injured, and abused by authority figures, right? So they have authority issues, so they're rebellious. They call it freedom, but it's not freedom. It's rebellion because of injury. They don't understand how authority works, which stops them from breakthrough. The greatest realm of faith operates through an understanding of how to properly relate to authority. That was what Jesus was illustrating with the centurion, so.
You have an amazing testimony talking about power and authority. When you were in Haiti, can you tell us and our viewers a little bit about that experience?
Yeah, so in January 12th, 2010, around 4:30 in the afternoon, the earth shook. And there was 100,000 dead people in the city that I was in. I was in a city called Carrefour. 230,000 lives in 30 seconds. Every house in the neighborhood that we were in, every house was down. Everyone was dead. We were in this man, Pastor Eddie Francois' house. No one in his household died.
Wow.
And so the Lord, you and your household shall be saved. And we were. And so I'm so thankful that God preserved my life, and the story of getting out and everything was totally supernatural. And so I experienced this, just the hand of God, angelic assistance, just the Lord's protection. And so I have a great love for the Haitian people through that. On January 12, 2010, it's like I became Haitian.
Wow, it's an amazing story.
That is awesome. And, when you talk about situations like that, that's something where you did that go thing. You went somewhere else. You went
almost cost me my life.
Yeah. And I think that's part of going, isn't it? That we have to be willing to say, God, I'm here.
Here I am.
Take me and do what you will.
Yeah. And God didn't say it would be easy. He said, I'd be with you. And so I think that expecting everything to be easy and comfortable, I don't think it's a Christian expectation. I think it's a false expectation that as Americans we can bring into our Christianity, or if I do good, I get good. Well, you may do great and you may get thrown in prison, like Joseph. He's not sleeping with his boss's wife. The result, the guy gets thrown in prison. Paul, he's doing the right thing. He's declaring the resurrection of Jesus, the message that saves souls, heals bodies, changes lives, touches families, and he gets thrown in prison. So there's no guarantee that if you do the right thing, things are going to be easy. But God promised, I'll be with you. And we grow in our knowledge of who God is as we go for him and as he works through us. And so God works in us, and he allows pressure to be put on us so that he can do something in us, so that he can flow through us. And we really increase in the knowledge of God as we abound in the work of the Lord and as we're willing to be obedient and go. And I just want to encourage you, sometimes God may send someone somewhere and they have no idea why. And it's not until after they understand. And so you don't have to understand to obey.
Well, let's talk to that. Why don't you talk into that camera right over there and just talk to that one person and maybe saying, I don't know what God has for me, but I want to follow. I'm afraid. I don't feel confident.
Yeah.
Could you just minister to that one there?
Yeah, I would say that the best thing that you can do is be humble and to be teachable and ask God to show you and to help you and take advantage of the good people that God has put in your life to help bring you forward. Because when God gives you relationships in the kingdom, he brings you forward and he gives you upgrades through relationships. So there could be someone that's already right in your life who you're not seeing them correctly. You're not understanding that they're an instrument of God's grace for your growth. And the open door is right before you in the form of a relationship, in the form of a person who may not be well known, who may not be famous, but they may be steady and stable, and they are with you to walk with you through the process, because it's going through the process and embracing the process that gets you ready for the promise. And you're a believer, you're not an understander, and by faith you will understand if you obey. So I just encourage you, if God is putting something on your heart, if you know that it's a biblical idea, obviously it's not something crazy, I just encourage you to step out and to obey God and to do what he's putting in front of you to do, to make that commitment. Don't be afraid of making a commitment. We live in a generation that is afraid to make a commitment because they feel that the commitment will control them, but it's actually the commitment that grows you. And so I just encourage you to make that commitment, to do what God is putting on your heart, to humble yourself, to give yourself to that process, to be humble, to be teachable, to be accountable, to find someone who's safe that you could, share your feelings with and be honest with. And I just encourage you to embrace that process, because as you embrace that process, the Lord is bringing you through. He's growing you, he's maturing you, and he's making you fit for his work.
That's right.
Amen.
That's right. Amen.
Well, this is such a great tool. You're definitely going to want to get your copy of Go.Preach.Heal. God has a divine destiny for you and a purpose to walk in, and we want you to fulfill that. And know that we have prayer partners standing by at 888-665-4483. We would love the opportunity to just stand with you in faith as you step out.
That's right. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in here. There's a lot of stuff we didn't even get close to talking about. So it would be a great resource for you, for your church, for your young people, young adults group, whatever. There's so much truth in here. There's just basic biblical truth that sometimes we miss, and sometimes we don't follow as close as we should. Well, Adam, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you. It's been great to be with you.
Yeah, it's been really good. Well, we're going to take a short break, and then we'll be right back.